Oh, it is campy, it is silly, it is, to be honest, just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Masters of the Universe. Now, before I carry on any further, I'm going to keep this spoiler free, so fear not, there will be no spoilers. Hopefully, I've made that clear now. And my general thoughts on the movie are you don't need to know anything about He Man about this. In fact, to be honest, I don't know anything. I've never seen the original He Man movies or the TV shows, whatever, not seen them. So I can't compare them to that. And I don't know that if you've seen that, you're going to be sat there going, oh, why aren't they doing this? Or they didn't do that. They changed this. I have no idea. This is purely um, a perspective of someone who knows absolutely nothing other than the memes of Skeletor giving random facts to people when doom scrolling. And yeah, that's my relationship with Skeletor. Other than today, and what I will say, and I was very surprised by this. Like just keeping on the subject of Skeletor, Jared Leto. I'm not a huge fan of movies that he's been in, but my god, he is so much fun as Skeletor. It is one of those villain performances where it reminds me a lot of Palpatine from the Star Wars movies, where like they just go so over the top, so silly, so goofy, and it's been too long, I think, since we've had a villain that just laughs at themselves so much. They do that um like this joke. They do it a couple times, and I don't think they overplayed it by doing it twice, which I find interesting. Usually once is enough. But they do that Austin Powers thing where they're doing the evil laugh, and then he'll just kind of slowly stop and like, well, I'm done now. Let's do the next thing. Austin Powers obviously did that one very famously. They do it here, but not quite the same way. I won't say any further on that. And then they do it again, um, but they change it up. So I thought it was very clever the way that they did the same joke twice at different points in the movie, but they didn't repeat it either. They approached it from a different angle, and it worked. It didn't overstay its welcome in that way. And I've got to say, I love villains that are just but I do love it where they explore a villain and we go into like character depth, backstory, emotionally invested in them, and all that. They don't do any of this here, and I do love that because there is definitely a place for a villain that is just a bad guy. They're just like full of themselves. They're cliched. They're the like mustache twirling, and that's exactly what we get here. That is what Star Wars gives you with Emperor Palpatine. It's what the Sonic films give you with Robotnik, literally with a mustache twirling on that one as well. And I don't think we get enough of that because we usually get the hero is the villain is the hero of their own story. But in this one, he's like, no, I am the villain. He even says that outright, just I am the villain, and I love that. So Skeletor for me was the most fun part of this movie. If you take him out of it and we just look at everything else, it's okay. It works. It's fine. He-Man himself, only actually I won't say, but um, like I liked the person who plays He-Man. He-Man. I liked He-Man. He-Man. Yeah. I like the person who played He-Man. He was very good. Um, like was it? Did Arnold Schwarzenegger play once, or am I thinking of something? I'm thinking of Conan. He might. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it works. He's a likable protagonist. You root for him. It is the most predictable story ever, which is interesting because I have no problems with it being predictable. Yet when I saw Mandalorian and Grogu, that was one of my criticisms was that you can just see everything coming a mile off. But I think because with Mando and Grogu, I think they were trying to surprise you. They were trying to be clever. Whereas Masters of the Universe, it's none of that. It is in some ways it reminds me of the earlier Marvel movies where we know what's going to happen. There are no surprises here, but we're enjoying the ride, so that's fine. And that's exactly what Masters of the Universe does. And I think there's a lot of that Marvel DNA built into this. Especially the earlier stuff, even up to the point of like Thor Ragnarok. I got a lot of Thor out of this movie. I think because that a big part of Master of the Universe and the He-Man, I keep saying that He-Man mythos is the sword, because that is the basically the plot revolves around the sword in this movie, and it's about the pursuit of power, especially from Skeletor's perspective. I won't say where it goes with this, but like you can probably figure it out. But the sword itself is he who wields this has the power. I because I'd never seen that before, but I've seen the Thor movies. It reminded me a lot of Thor's hammer. So there was a lot of that, and there's a bit of like fish out of water stuff going on here. But again, they twist that up a little bit, but not. They don't go too far with it. And I think that's a great way to sum this movie up. You know, they do something, but they don't go too far, except for the campiness and the overacting, especially in terms of Leto's performance. They go very far with that, and I just absolutely loved that. In terms of character depth, virtually none, which for the villain is fine. I would have liked to have seen them explore the main characters, the heroes, a little bit more, maybe in sequels, because I think we're going to get sequels from this. I certainly get that. There are three post-credit scenes. One that appears like immediately after the movie ends, and then there's like a mid and then a post, and they do set up. At least a couple of them set up various sequels. So I think we're going to get more of this, which I'm fine with. Um, Absolutely. I would definitely recommend going out to see it in theaters because it's a great big screen experience. Like there's a lot of CGI in this, so it's I'd say it's you know like the MonsterVerse movies, like the new like Godzilla Kong movies. It reminds me of that where it's fun CGI. I don't think it looks quite as good as MonsterVerse, but it does look somewhat impressive, or I'd say decent enough. At the worst end, it's decent enough. It's passable, and at the best end, if you see it on a good screen, it is a bit of a spectacle. Especially just seeing the costume designs, because and you know this is kind of interesting because I'd say 10 years ago we were at a point where Hollywood didn't want to go fully like campy with costume designs. Like we did that in the 90s, and then we kind of went to like bland, like look at X Men. They were scared of color for so long. We've only really just started getting like X Men stuff, like with Wolverine suit, or even Fantastic Four going like full on, like comic accurate suits. And I feel like the same thing is there with Masters of the Universe. It is a product of the mid 2020s where we are not scared of color, we are not scared of campiness. We're willing to go there, which is great. I'm all for that because that era of everything must be grey, black, dark, and kind of bland. It works in places, but it was spilling over to way too many things. But here we're actually getting those like beautiful splashes of color, and this is a very colorful movie. So I'm very thankful for that. It is one that I think a family will enjoy, kids will enjoy. There was certainly a lot of families in the showing that I went to, and it was a great time. You know, it's a good popcorn fun flick. It's not anything that's going to provoke any deep, meaningful thought. But we are entering the we're not quite in summer, but we're getting into that summer blockbuster like run now with like Supergirl coming up, Spider Man, The Odyssey, and you know plenty of other films. And I feel Master of the Universe. I suppose in some ways, like Mando and Grogu was like the start of that for this year, and then we're like ramping, you know, further and further up. It's just Masters of the Universe has done a better job. But yeah, great casting, great acting. In sequels, I would like to see more character development. I'm not going to say why, although it's not really spoilers because they just don't go into characters that much. The protagonist gets the most, obviously. Um, but again, I've not seen the trailers for this, so I don't know what is considered like trailer spoilers or just spoilers. So I'm just not going to say anything. Um, I'd just say like I'd recommend it. You know, absolutely go out and watch Masters of the Universe. I certainly don't regret it. It's worth the ticket price, and it's you know, when a movie that is worth seeing in the theaters comes along, it's good to go and see it rather than waiting for streaming. Because something like Mando and Grogu, wait for streaming. It doesn't deserve your money for the ticket price. But this one does. So absolutely, yes, support it. And you know, support the theaters. But we're not going to go into that argument. Great film. Starting to circle and repeat myself, so I'm going to call it here. That is all. Go and watch it. Let me know what you think. That's everything. Bye.